Okay, like I said, he said that the big economies in Africa, they would want to be part of it because they have a less competition when you compare it to European countries or Asian countries. If they export their products over there, then there's a lot of competition there. But if it is Africa, it's less competition, and it would be good for them, ideal for them to take part in this agreement. But when you look at from the not so advanced countries as Nigeria, won't their startup business be crushed from this integration? Won't they say, no, this is not for us?
To start with, Africa is very vast. 1.2 billion people with more than $3 trillion of economy. And just to be absorbed and to be fully, controlled by one country or even one company or even two or three, it won't happen like that. I think it's a too big economy to be controlled and monopolized by certain group or even just certain countries for this market. So, of course, the advantage is there, clearly. Those who have the means and the capacities, I will definitely exploit this opportunity and benefit out of it. But it's a two-way street also. Those who are smaller also, they will definitely have things to supply, or it could be, maybe I have to mention it also, one of the strategic approach for the CFTA to have it exploited very well is to develop regional value chains, as I put it. So even if you have an end product of one product, but the parts can come from different regions or countries, and that's where the smaller countries, of course, on their own right, they have their own things to supply to the African market. But as the next stage, they can be part of the regional value chains, where these bigger economies can utilize those. Exactly. If you take automotive industry, perhaps the smaller countries, they cannot produce it right now because they don't have the capacity. If you go to the southern South Africa or to the northern some other countries, they have the means, but you can make the supply.
Yeah, so provide the raw materials so that the others can add value to it.
They can process, they can, the orders will come and go.
Yeah, so basically it's using the African resource within Africa. And if we have to export out of Africa, then we have to add value to it in order to benefit from there.
That is, so now I'm going to put the other policy aspect of the African Union in the economic aspect. There are like commodity exchange strategy. There are within which you will have mining or other raw materials, so on and so forth. Within that strategy, how African countries develop their raw materials to the next level and benefit. Of course, there is then another bigger agenda of industrialization, because if you want to create jobs and if you want to have more value for your goods, then industrialization is a way to go. So all these are also on their own, they are playing their roles. So at the AfCFTA, what you are doing is, once these things are put in place, and when countries, African countries, they want to trade that to each other, you have to create a legal basis, and that's where this AfCFTA will give you the right picture. So it's not resolving all the issues, but at least the lion's share of all these constraints will be addressed by this legal means, at least because it creates a very predictable environment for trade. But the rest should be done also with other stakeholders and even at national level, for sure, many of these African countries, they have their own national development, agenda and strategies. And at the continental level, from African Union perspective, all you can do is to give them those alternatives, the policy issues, the support they need, the coordination, so on and so forth, and so that they will be able to improve their economics at national level or even regional level where they have advanced.
You give them advices on national level how to develop their economies. And the ultimate goal is of this continental free trade is, if I'm not mistaken, is to have one African currency. So when you have each country go towards that, are you going to devalue their currencies? Because their currency, Ethiopian currency and Kenyan, for example, they are not the same as we compare it to the dollar. That's our reference point at this point. So how is it going to play out? When you go towards one currency, how is each country's currencies?
This, when it comes to currency, it's not an easy issue. It needs many coordination and harmonization issues of the national monetary policies, taxation policies, so on and so forth. Even how you apply your duties, customs duties, tariffs, so on and so forth, would be included. The expenditure, even government expenditure, how much it. All this will have impact on the value of your currency. So it's not an easy one, and it's too early to actually to do this or that. When it comes to having one currency. Of course, what we are doing now will have a positive impact towards that goal. And like I said earlier, when Abuja Treaty was agreed back in 1991, the monetary union is one of the phases to reach to that final end game of the African Economic Community. When you have that community, that means perhaps you'll have one currency, one parliament, one of course, that one it's on the way already. It has advanced well. When it comes to currency issues, it's at the core of many of economic activity. So you need a lot of coordination and harmonization. You have to do. That is why now once we have achieved the goals of AfCFTA, that will transform itself into the customs union, so that almost all those African countries will charge the same amount of tariffs for products that are coming outside of the continent. That will start to coordinate their, for their fiscal policy or monetary policy and so on. So it's just, you can't achieve it overnight. It should be a process. So from that union, you will have to go through another stage of integration, single market for Africa, where all those people will be moving around freely. Then goods and services will be moving around freely. Then investment in capital, like money, will be, circulating around the continent freely. So it will be after all this process that will make it easier for you to form such a monetary union. Like I said, it's not an easy thing, but of course we are hopeful. When you pass through all these stages, then you'll be able to iron out some of the contentious issues that it has been done somewhere else, so why not here also?
You are taking experience from them.
Oh, definitely. We have to take experience from wherever it is, as far as it gives us the right, information and lesson. I think that is always a good thing.
Okay, now let's go to the place of women. Africa, the Agenda 2063 has put a good, solid role of women, because, when we talk about business, the basic businesses are done by the women in every country. And even before these continental free trade agreements, women were passing borders to trade small businesses. So how is this continental free trade area going to realize women, the role of women?
I think what you have outlined is correct, and of course the objective, if you read at the objective of the agreement establishing the AfCFTA, one of the objectives is also to have these issues, not only women, but there are issues of let us put it this way, yes, but for women, it's very, very well known within Africa, especially in the informal trade sector. You'll find them a lot, even if they contribute to the economy. And one aspect of resolving that problem would be, of course, maybe to shift them in the formal sector, or else at least they recognizing their share of within the economy, and to do as much support as they need. So one of the objectives is to address those things, and most of the time you'll find them women traders around the borders, and they are involved mostly. It could be, and by the way, one thing I have to indicate is when we talk about CFTA, most people, what comes to their mind is when one good crosses border of another, something that is visible. But the other thing of the other side of this trade is there are services as well also. You can call it communication, you can call it distribution, telecommunication, finance, education, transport, so on and so forth. So especially in the distribution service sector, you'll find many of African women working there within a very difficult situation. So addressing those things is one of, and in all the projects, gender and mainstreaming that into the formal and bigger agenda, it's always there. For example, for AfCFTA, there is even when it was planned and when the architectural design was put in place, this was one of the areas that at expert level there would be someone looking at the issue on the gender and women. And of course now within AUC you'll find up to the top management level that everything is looked at from women perspective. Yes.